Let's do some more work on this portrait here of King Hezekiah. I want to show you how to continue with the glazing process. It is kind of a pseudo grisaille, not a true grisaille because I'm not working opaquely, just semi-opaquely, and developing some good strong midtones with some shadows to work out of. Eventually I'm going to come in with some highlights on top, but I want to establish a little more of the dark values in this painting. So I'm going to go into the background area, taking my 3/4 inch flat, and I'm going to just develop a little more gradation there. So I'm going to use some raw umber dark, one of my favorite colors, a little bit of ultramarine blue, mix them together, and we're making kind of a almost bluish gray. Let's add a little bit of titanium white, and that's going to just give it a little more opacity and help it cover quicker. And so what I'm going to do then is go onto the background here and just darken that a little bit. I'll add a little more titanium white, again to help it cover a bit better. Alright, we'll use that. And again, we're just going to go up to the edge of the clothing here. Don't want to lose that edge. Easy to do with a brush this size. Try to cut up around the edges of the hair, getting as close as I can. Using some different directional brush strokes, and that always gives the painting a bit more energy. And as we get toward the right side, I'm going to get a little bit lighter, but I want to have this whole area fairly constant in value until I get maybe past the midway point below his hair, and we'll lighten that up just a bit. So I'm going to introduce a little more matte medium into the mix, and raw umber dark and titanium white. We're just going to warm it up a bit more. We'll add a bit more matte medium here. Okay, that got a little too cool in tone because it has too much titanium white mixed in. So we're just going to add a little more raw umber dark to the mix, and that should settle down that color. A little more matte medium to thin it out, and let's even add just a bit of raw sienna to warm that up. A little bit of raw sienna and a touch, maybe a touch of burnt sienna. And we're just going to glaze here onto the ground area. Just developing some darker tones. And we'll blend this up into the rest of the area. So this will work, even though it's a little cooler and there's some kind of muddy tones right here. I'll be going back on top with many more layers to smooth that out, so that's not a big deal. But let's allow this glaze just to barely hit the edges of the fingers. And you know, a lot of times we can be scared to go over on top of our objects, whether it be, you know, the portions of the hand or the face. Don't be too afraid of doing that. You can always paint back on top of your objects, whatever they are, and restore them. As long as you can see the sketch underneath or your first few layers underneath, you can go back right on top of that and restore your highlights. So that's not a big deal. I'm going to add a little bit of a glaze right here. I almost imagine maybe the floor has got kind of a polished look to it. Yeah, I think maybe it would. I think maybe it'd have a polished look, like it's, you know, polished marble of some sort. So I'm going to give it that kind of a look, and just a little bit of a reflection coming from his arm there. Okay, and now let's use the smaller brush Use this 1/2 inch flat, and let's work into the clothing a bit more. So I'm using some raw umber dark mixed with titanium white, and I'm just going to establish a few midtones. The main idea is just to use slightly warmer tones as the value gets lighter. And if you keep that rule of thumb, usually things will work out pretty well. So I'm just glazing on top of the clothing a bit, adding some midtones to go into the highlights. We'll also add a little bit of shading on the hair and just darken a few spots in the interior. Maybe I'll have just a little bit of secondary light source on the other side. That might be kind of interesting. But for now, I just want to establish these darkest tones. Let's take some raw umber dark and ultramarine blue, and that just makes kind of a nice dark color. And we'll add that within the clothing. Get some dark shadows on the interior here a bit. And a little bit of a shadow on the inside here. Put a shadow right underneath the beard area as well. This could get a little bit darker right here, these little wrinkles here in the clothing. And then these shadows by his arms can get a little bit darker as well. Let's use our round brush. This is I don't know what size this is, maybe a size 12 or size 8 round brush. And I want to darken some of the darker values on the interior of his face. So I just want to keep that value key constant. I'm adding some darker shadows to the underside of his hand. So still we have this mostly sepia toned. And I'll be coming in and adding some highlights at certain points, then introducing more color. So again, this is kind of like a grisaille. And a grisaille is basically where you have a black and white monotone underpainting and you come back on top with color. This is kind of like that, but it's more sepia toned, and I'm going to be adding color before I finish the entire value structure. So not exactly a grisaille, and that's why I call it a pseudo grisaille. I have a little more beard hair on this side of his beard. Okay, so I'm going to continue establishing some contrast here with this round brush, darkening the areas under the scroll. Let's get some interior shadows on the hair. Just block a few little forms in here. And we'll darken these shadows on the sleeves as well. I want to basically hit every area where it should be a little darker. Alright, and I think that'll be a good stopping point for right here. So if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon to get notified when I do new videos, usually one per week, although I'm trying to do a couple per week. And yeah, let me know if there's anything I can help you with in your portraits. Leave a comment in the video, let me know how you like this, how it's been helpful for you. And then at realisticacrylic.com I have more tutorials there that'll help you in various aspects of portrait painting. So I'd love to help you there at Realistic Acrylic Portrait School. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.